sorry about that. I made a promise early on in this process that I was going to try to keep these videos down to 30 minutes. In my layer 2 deployments, I was talking for like 90 minutes, upwards to 2 hours in some instances, and I thought that that was going to be a bit of a drain on your guys' attention. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, we're going to break these up into as close to 30-minute chunks as humanly possible. And now what I'm going to do is pick up exactly where we left off in the last video, and that's going to be by enabling this idea of IPv6 routing for RIP, which is known as RIPng. So what we'll do is, let's go to R22, where this all started, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable this process. So I'm going to go to interface loopback 0, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to type IPv6 route, RIP, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign that name. This is going to be that RIP process designation that I used. I'm going to say RIPng. Now the last command that I'm going to use here is going to be enable. So I'll enable the process on this particular interface. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to interface serial 20 and do the same command. Just up arrow. Interface serial 21 and up arrow. And now I should be running IPv6 or RIPng on all of the interfaces. Serial 20, 21, and the loopback. How do I verify that? Well, guess what? I just used my show IPv6 protocols command, and it's going to tell me exactly what I want to know. Notice I'm running it on serial 21, 20, and my loopback. So again, don't lose sight of the fact of how handy the show IP protocols command is, both for IPv4 and for IPv6. All right, now that that's done, let's go ahead and get R2, R3, Cat1, Cat2, and R1 up and operational. So what we'll do is I'll just follow the chain through R2. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to say interface loopback 0, IPv6, RIPng, enable. Interface serial 20 on this device, IPv6, RIPng, enable. Do show CDP neighbors, because I want to find the connection that's going to Cat1. That's going to be Ethernet 03, so E03 IPv6 RIPng, enable. So that's going to be the connection to R22 and switch to SW1. So let's go over to that device. And now what we're going to end up doing is the configuration for our SVIs again. So do show IPv6 interface brief. And here we go. So I want to run it on my loopback. I wanted to run it on 101 and 201. So let's do those. So interface LO0, IPv6, RIPng, enable. Interface VLAN 101. And interface VLAN 210, enable. So now what we do is cut over to R1, interface LO0, IPv6, RIPng, enable. Interface E00, same command. Interface E01, same command. Do show IPv6 protocols. I'm running it on all three of those interfaces here, so let's cut over to Cat2. Do show IP interface brief. Actually, just show IP interface brief. E assigned. And let's see what we're doing here. I need to do IPv6. There we are. So those are the three that I need right there. So config T, interface LO0, IPv6 RIPng, enable. Interface VLAN. See, I'm on Cat2, so that's going to be 201, same command. And interface VLAN 320, same command. Do show IPv6 protocols. And we're going to see our connections are going to be 320, 201, and loopback 0. So lastly, let's do the configuration on R3. That's going to be show IPv6 interface brief. So do show run, or let's see what we got on here right now. Let's say show IPv6 protocols. I'm not running anything right now with regard to the idea of IPv6 routing. So config T. Interface loopback 0 is the first one that I'm going to configure. IPv6 RIPng enable. Interface serial 21. Do show CDP neighbors. That's going to be the interface going down to 22, serial 21. So again, IPv6 RIPng enable. And then I will take a look at the link going to Cat2, interface E03, same command. IPRIPng enable. Let's take a look at this. Show IPv6 protocols, and now I'm going to see the three interfaces that I want to be able to see. Now, looking at this, what I should see, if I got everything right, is I have a loopback interface on R1 that is going to be 2001 : 1 : 1 : 1, and that should be being advertised. So that should be visible on R2 if we got all of our sums right. Let's take a look and see what's happening on R22 with regard to the show IPv6 route information. Well, let's look specifically at RIP. Well, let's see, I'm learning a lot of interface information, but the one that I'm going to look at is going to be this idea of 1, 1, 1. And notice it's right here, and as you can see, I will load share to reach it. So let's do a verification here. So trace route, IPv6, and where do I want to trace to? I want to trace to 2001 : 1 : 1 : 1, and what we're going to see is we are load sharing. So we're using 210, so that's going to be the connection to R2, and it's also going to be the connection to R3. Remember, 2 and 3, we use the router numbers. So this is going to be the basic setup, and I have everything that I expected to see, and now what we want to do is entertain the idea of being able to do basic manipulations in the context of RIP version, I'm sorry, I keep wanting to say RIP version 2 for IPv6, but it's really referred to as RIPng. RIP next generation. So let's take a look at this by stepping further into the configuration and making certain that we understand all of the nuances and principles behind how the protocol operates. I'll see you guys in that presentation.